What would you do if, in the middle of your busy day, you saw a broken soul on the street begging for help? Would you stop? Or would you walk away like everyone else? What happens when power meets compassion? In a crowded event, Trump spots a homeless veteran. What he does next stuns everyone. Was it just a gesture or something deeper? Stay tuned for this unforgettable moment. It was a bitterly cold winter morning as Donald Trump's car navigated the bustling streets of New York City. The windows fogged slightly from the warmth inside the vehicle, but outside the chill in the air was palpable. People hurried along the sidewalks, wrapped in thick coats and scarves, their faces tense with the urgency of the morning rush. Trump sat quietly, focused on his upcoming meeting, when a sudden scene at a street corner caught his eye. His gaze sharpened as he noticed a figure sitting on the cold pavement, a man wrapped in a tattered military jacket and a threadbare blanket. Next to him, a cardboard sign, its bold letters scrawled in desperation read, "I am a veteran. Please help." "Stop the car," Trump commanded abruptly, his voice firm but tinged with concern. His driver obeyed without hesitation. Turning to his security detail, Trump spoke again, his tone resolute. "I want to know who he is." He opened the door, and a gust of icy wind hit him full force, making him shiver for a moment. The busy city barely noticed the scene at first, until passersby caught sight of the unmistakable figure stepping out onto the street. The man on the corner, James Miller, flinched slightly as Trump approached, as if bracing for yet another indifferent stranger walking past. His eyes, weary and shadowed by years of hardship, flicked upward with caution. Trump slowed his pace as he neared, his presence both commanding and unexpectedly gentle. "Hello," he greeted, his voice soft yet firm, carrying over the noise of the street. "What's your name?" James hesitated, clutching his blanket tighter around his shivering frame. Finally, in a hoarse voice, he replied, James Miller." Trump knelt down, leveling his gaze with James's. His eyes reflected neither pity nor judgment, only empathy. "Tell me your story, James," Trump urged quietly. James's hands, cracked from cold and hardship, trembled as he tucked them beneath the blanket. He drew in a shaky breath, his words faltering as he began. I'm a veteran," he whispered. "I joined the military when I was 22. I served in Afghanistan. We faced things you can't imagine. I lost friends. We fought every day just to survive." His voice grew more strained, the memories weighing on each word. Trump leaned in, listening intently, his expression hardening with the gravity of the story. James continued, his eyes distant, reliving the trauma. "One mission, there was an explosion. My friends, they didn't make it. I was badly injured. I can't forget that moment. It's burned into my mind." James paused, swallowing hard as tears welled in his eyes. "When I came home, they treated my wounds, my body healed, but my soul didn't. Nothing was the same anymore." His voice cracked, and he lowered his head, his shoulders trembling. "My family, they couldn't handle it. They said I was a burden. I lost my job. I couldn't pay my debts, and then I lost my home." The bustling noise of the city seemed to fade as James's voice grew quieter. "I ended up on the streets," he said, his words heavy with resignation. "Cold, hungry, alone. People walk past me every day like I'm invisible, like I'm already gone. I fought for this country, and now it feels like no one even sees me anymore." Tears streamed down his face as he struggled to continue. "Last winter," he choked, gripping his blanket tightly, a man, a Vietnam veteran. "He was sleeping beside me. He froze to death. When I woke up, he was still wrapped in his blanket, but he was gone." James's voice broke completely, his fear lay bare. "I keep thinking one day that'll be me. Frozen. Forgotten." Trump's face was set, his eyes glistening with emotion. He inhaled deeply, steadying himself as the weight of James's story sank in. "James," he began, his voice low but resolute, "a man like you should never be in this situation. You gave your life to serve this country, and yet this country has failed you. That's unacceptable. This has to change. I promise you it will." James stared at Trump, disbelief flickering in his tear-filled eyes. For the first time in what felt like years, there was a glimmer of hope. "Really?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, trembling with both fear and anticipation. Without hesitation, Trump responded, "Yes, James. You fought for this country. Now it's time for this country to fight for you. This is just the beginning. We're going to make things right." In that moment, the icy streets of New York seemed to melt away in the warmth of a promise. A promise that James Miller was no longer invisible. If you find these stories inspiring and they motivate you to take action, please comment 9. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time." Tears of hope streamed down James's face, the weight of years spent in darkness beginning to lift. "Would you really do this for me?" he asked, his voice trembling with disbelief. Trump's response was immediate and firm. "Yes, James, you fought for this country, and now this country needs to fight for you. This is only the beginning. We're going to end this darkness together." For James, this wasn't just a promise, it was a lifeline, a light breaking through the suffocating despair that had gripped him for so long. Trump pulled out his phone without delay. "Book the nearest hotel and get a doctor on site," he instructed his assistant. Turning to his bodyguard, he added, "And bring a hot meal for James." Sitting back down next to James, Trump placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We're going to make you comfortable now," he said softly. Minutes later, the bodyguard returned with a steaming bowl of soup and a hearty sandwich. James hesitated for a moment, then slowly took a bite. Tears welled in his eyes as he whispered, "It's been so long since I've had something warm to eat." Trump stayed beside him, offering gentle encouragement and ensuring James finished every bite. An hour later, a sleek black SUV arrived at the street corner. Trump helped James into the car, treating him with dignity and care. When they reached the hotel, James was shown to a private room, complete with a warm shower, clean clothes, and a soft bed. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of comfort and dignity returning to him. Trump had also arranged for a doctor to examine James, ensuring he would receive proper medical care and a plan to rebuild his health. The following morning, Trump met James in the hotel dining room, where a beautifully set breakfast awaited. With a warm smile, Trump said, "James, I've put together a plan for you. There's an organization called Veterans United that helps homeless veterans rebuild their lives. I'll personally cover all your expenses for the first year." James's eyes widened in astonishment. "Really? You're doing this for me?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. Trump nodded. "Yes, James, you served your sovereignty. Now it's time for your country to serve you. This is the least I can do." Later that day, James met with a representative from Veterans United, who outlined the support available to him: housing, job training, counseling, and a clear path toward rebuilding his life. Trump handed James a check from his foundation to cover immediate needs. Overwhelmed, James spoke through tears. "This feels like a miracle. I never thought my life could change so quickly." As Trump prepared to leave, he turned to James with a parting message. "One day you'll have the chance to help someone else. The world becomes a better place when we extend our hands to one another." With renewed hope and determination, James replied, "I promise one day I'll pay it forward." Facing the camera, Trump addressed viewers with heartfelt sincerity. "There are so many people in need of help in this country. Let's not ignore them. Even a small gesture can change a life. Sometimes all it takes is one person to be a beacon of hope. Remember, we all have the power to make a difference." The story closed with scenes of James's new beginning, moving into a safe home, preparing for a new job, and smiling with renewed purpose. He now had what he thought was lost forever: a home, a future, and a sense of dignity. This story offers a profound reminder of the transformative power of kindness, empathy, and action. It shows that sometimes all it takes is one person willing to pause and truly see another to change a life forever. James Miller's journey from despair to hope was ignited not by grand speeches or abstract promises, but by a simple act of compassion: Donald Trump stopping to listen, to care, and to take action. In a world often preoccupied with fast-paced routines and personal ambitions, how many of us walk past those in need without a second glance? This story challenges us to open our eyes to the invisible struggles around us. James's pain, feeling discarded and forgotten despite his sacrifices for his country, represents the reality faced by countless others. The lesson here is simple yet powerful. We all have the capacity to make a difference. Even a small act of kindness can provide a lifeline to someone drowning in despair. Empathy is not weakness, it is a beacon of hope, a force that can restore dignity and purpose. As James vowed to pay it forward, we are reminded that the ripple effect of one good deed can spread far and wide. When we choose to extend our hands to others, we create a world where hope and humanity prevail.